Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoyed these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it, and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Let me pull my sleeve out of the way. Today we're discussing a lovely current generation IWC Portuguese Automatic, or if you will, IWC Portugieser. Either way, it's reference 5007-10, so a timepiece 42.3 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It wears easily on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, and it is emblematic of the Portuguese line with all of the cardinal styling touch tones, but a lovely vibrant contemporary blue sunburst dial. Now, it's not a thick watch in spite of the mechanism, only 14.2 millimeters thick with a concave bezel. It will allow the watch to slip underneath most cuffs, just not the tightest of dress sleeves. You can see lug-to-lug, it's actually fairly constrained for a 42 plus. 50.3 millimeters lug-to-lug. The shape of the lugs, which arc down and around the wrist, do mitigate against issues with smaller wrists. I would say the lower limit wrist is probably somewhere between 14 and 14.5 centimeters circumference. I'd say 14.5 just to be safe. The spacing between the lugs is a nice broad 22 millimeters, so as the Portuguese look has remained consistent over the years, nevertheless that lug spacing very much of our era. And the watch looks a bit more proportioned, a bit more contemporary because of that broad lug spacing. That said, don't necessarily swap out the factory strap for a different 22, as this is a wonderful piece. It is very substantial. As you can see, gator on the tap, large rectangular scale alligator leather. It is a semi-gloss. It's got a little bit of bolstering. It's got a shear cut that shows you the cross section of the construction on the side, and then a monotone stitch. There is a substantial steel deploying clasp, which you can see features the IWC logo. It's satin finished on its hood, polished on its bevels, and vertically satin finished on its flanks. You can see internally this one's still got the original packing sticker, so the condition as well as the tolerances remain excellent. A little bit of insurance against droppage while donning or removing at bedside. Classical integrated Portuguese lugs. This is part of the form and function aesthetic as well as design ethic that was coming into fashion during the 1930s. The Portuguese designed in 1939, just 7 years after the first Patek Calatrava, and they both share this blended lug profile. No longer would the lugs be outrageously stepped out from the case or sculpturally separate. This is a modern case design circa 1930s. Polished hoods of the lugs, longitudinal satin finish, and you can see IWC disguises the thickness of the case by creating a polished case back, a polished bezel, and then a satin finished mid. The watch looks far more spare than it really is. You can also see that there's a concave profile to the bezel, another trick that's invoked by Patek Philippe these days to visually pair the mass of the watch. Now you can see, as with most Portuguese watches, the dial is pushed out to the very edge of the case. The bezel is very thin. The dial is deep, granular with a sunburst cut that radiates out from the cannon pinion at center. You can see it's very reactive. There is a set of sunken sub-registers, one at 9, one at 3. Constant seconds with a mini railroad track at 9. Then you've got your 7-day power reserve indicator over at 3 o'clock. There is a date window down at 6 o'clock, and you can see the watch features a quick set for rapidly cycling. It also features a stop seconds function, so you can sync the watch precisely to a reference time. Of course, the watch is an automatic, but you can wind it manually if you want to see the power reserve moving in real time. And for an automatic watch, it winds quite well. You can see all applique indices as well as Art Deco era form and function, Arabic numerals. They're very clean. They have a little bit of a machine age aesthetic to them. There's no florid Art Nouveau or Breguet sensibility about these particular Arabic numerals. And outboard, a white on blue railroad track for the minutes. Leaf style hands at center. On the case back, caliber 52010, 31 joules, automatic winding, manufacturer, and one of the world's largest automatic movements. Now, one of the changes for 2015 and the redesign of the Portuguese was the redesign of the movement. Rather than a single barrel, which would cause the watch to alternately run too quickly and then too slowly over 7 days, the 7-day power reserve is now contained within 2 mainspring barrels, making for a much more even torque release from max wind to minimum wind, so your watch won't gain or lose undue amounts of time. Automatic winding, you can see another redesign, has to do with the Peloton winding system. Bidirectional, very shock resistant, very efficient, but traditionally using metal pawl wheel and pawls. Here you can see they're now unlubricated ceramic. Still efficient, but now unlikely to cause a dirt on the movement problem as in the past. You can see the balance is free sprung for shock resistance, adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, and it's beaten away for the first time at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It used to be a 21.6 movement, upgraded for this generation, the 52,000 series, and it features an overcoil hairspring to help the watch keep excellent time in any orientation with respect to gravity. All of this, of course, nicely decorated, handsomely executed, and water resistant 30 meters. You can see this handsome, and one might even say timeless, icon of IWC. If you don't fashion yourself an aviator, hark back to the days of the 1930s when you needed to put a pocket watch sized movement in a wristwatch to get the most accuracy. Conceived by the Portuguese importers of IWC, executed by Schaffhausen, and still in production as the emblem of the manufacturer, this is the IWC Portugieser Automatic.